Hi, I'm Andrea Oliver, and on this edition of LkldNow in View, we hear the inspiring story that is Kim Elmhorst. We're going to be talking about how she battled cancer and how the love and faith brought her through. So excited to be here at Bella Visage Spa. We're actually in a different room tonight, but you know, when you have a makeshift studio, you can do just about anything. We want to thank Mark and his crew for allowing us to come on in and just have this conversation. Kim, it is so good to have you here on this edition. I've been looking forward to this show. It's been a while. We haven't seen each other in a while.
Yes. But we have a long history.
There are some pictures floating around here, and I think one of it dates back to about 29 years ago. Something about singing at your wedding.
Yes, you sang at my wedding in 1992. I was about 16.
16.
No.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
But it's so good to have you here. I know you've been like such a stalwart in this community. You've been here involved in so many community efforts, sat on several boards, the Give Well Foundation. You've been involved with United Way of Central Florida, Lakeland Vision, you name it. You have been involved in a lot of areas and just contributed so much to this community. What about this place that so speaks to you?
Well, I'm just lucky to be here in this place. It's a great place to raise children. When my husband Kurt and I got married, we, like a young married couple, moved to Dallas, moved away from home. I'd been here basically since I was 10 years old. Lime Street Elementary, Crystal Lake Middle School, Lakeland High School, even went to Florida Southern.
Mm-hmm. I think that's when I met you, actually.
Yes, that is where we met. Yes, when I was a student. Yeah. And so my husband and I got married. We moved to Dallas, wanted to get away from the parents. And when we started thinking about children and our family, we thought we've got to come back to Lakeland.
And
it's
we're
the place
so
to
glad.
be. Yeah.
We're so glad you did. And it has been home.
Oh, yes.
And as I mentioned, you've been here serving the community in so many different ways for so many years, living a storied life, actually.
Yes, very much so.
And then one day, it's almost like the bottom drops out. You go to the doctor, you were having some issues, you say, and you went to the doctor, pick us up from there.
I did. I was having some issues one weekend, didn't think very much of it, but thought, I'll go and check it out. And my primary care physician had retired. So I just went to urgent care, whatever, priority care. And that doctor said, I don't think it's anything to worry about. You're only 47. It's not a big deal. But I'll schedule a colonoscopy just to put your mind at ease.
And you weren't even worried at that point, even hearing that C word. Yeah. There's some other C words that worry us, but not that C word.
Not one bit. Then I go home and I get a phone call from the insurance company. You're not 50 yet. We're not going to cover that. And I thought to myself, I have to have this done because what if, right? So colonoscopies cost between $1,500 and $2,000. And I thought, I'm blessed to be able to say, okay, I can go ahead and move forward. Yeah. So went into the surgery center and had the colonoscopy. I had never met the gastroenterologist who did and I woke up and he said, I couldn't finish the colonoscopy.
As it turned out, he said there was a tumor.
There was a tumor in the way. Oh my goodness. And I said, is it cancer? And he said, I can't tell you that. So he didn't say it was, and he didn't say it wasn't. And he said, I need you to meet with a surgeon right away.
And you're thinking to yourself, what is going on in my world? Was Kurt with you on that particular
Thankfully,
trip?
he was. Thankfully, he was. But of course, he just thought he was driving me home. He just thought he was my Uber driver back home. And for him, and I, you come out of anesthesia, you think I must be hearing things. And he said, no, you need to see a surgeon.
What was that drive like? What the drive from that particular procedure to home?
Yeah, it was surreal. And for some reason, my daughter happened to be home from school that day, which was unfortunate for her because we walked in the door and she saw just the devastation on our faces. And we had to tell her right away where we couldn't even gather ourselves and figure out what to tell the children. We had to let her know.
And so what does that conversation look like? Because you're still in a, is this really happening place? And now you have to have a conversation with a minor,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be.
It wasn't easy. And I mean, to be honest with you, probably can't remember much of that conversation, except for there were a lot of tears, a lot of uncertainty. Um, well, at that point, didn't know, is it cancer or not? Still did not know if it was cancer or not. So having that conversation with her was very difficult. Now, she was about 16 at the time, so she understood what was going on. My son was a little bit younger, and basically he was like, "You gonna be okay?" And
Typical son,
11-year-old,
typical boy.
Yes, I'm gonna be fine. And he's like, "Oh, okay," and he was on his way.
When did you find out that this is serious business, and in fact, it could be life-threatening?
Yes, so we went and met with a surgeon, Dr. Thigpen, whom I adore. And he said, "Well, you're not going to get your pathology report back right away, but I am treating it like cancer. I'm going to be very aggressive." And so within those few days leading up to that weekend, we had multiple tests done to figure out whether or not it was cancerous or not.
And you're thinking, I mean, because I can just imagine when you're faced with an insurmountable situation, one that you don't even know if, how you, all kinds of thoughts. What are some of the things that you're really battling and wrestling with?
Well, one of the things that I have a wonderful circle of friends. And of course, I have a brother and a sister and loving parents and in-laws and extended family. And I didn't want to talk to any of them. So we did send text messages out to everyone. Please say prayers. We're not ready to talk about it yet. And so through that weekend, we found out on that Friday that indeed it was cancerous. And of course, they don't know the extent until they get in. And by that Wednesday, I was at Lakeland Regional and I was having surgery. And then by that following Friday, Dr. Thigpen let us know that it was stage 3. It had grown outside of the colon and into lymph nodes. And there's only one stage after that.
Yes.
And then,
stage 3 cancer. Yes. Those are words that are real. Yes. And you're hearing them. Yes. And they're coming to you, and you're saying what to yourself?
I'm dead. I'm not going to live very long. And at 47, you never think you're going to say that. But yeah, the reality of death is staring you in the face. And like you said, I'd lived a storied life. Yes. I mean, both my parents are still alive. I really had never experienced any kind of tragedy. I was married to my husband for a long time, 2 healthy children. And to hear, in a matter of seconds.
When do you go from, oh, woe is me, this is what I'm facing, and just like you say, I'm dead, to, you know what? As long as I'm still breathing, I have a chance. What is that transition?
I'm a very practical person. So it didn't take long before we had a plan in place, and we went and visited an oncologist at Moffitt. I had a wonderful nurse friend who kind of guided us through that process and kind of gave us her opinion. She read the records because, when you see what's written, the layperson
what does it mean?
What does that mean? Yeah. Exactly, what does that mean? And she helped us really walk through that. And we ended up at Moffitt. Once I met with the oncologist and he said, here's the plan. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do 6 months of chemo. And you're going to come every other week. You need to get a port put in, on and on and on. The peace.
I was going to say to you, because certainly, you say, I'm a very practical person, but there has to be a place in you where you're going, I'm 47.
Yeah.
Why is this happening to me?
Although I'm human, so those thoughts definitely occurred. I grew up in the church and have great faith. And one of the things that I was thinking to myself was, I know where I'm going if I'm leaving this earth, but I'm leaving behind 2 young children and my husband who, said, I'm going to sell everything and live in a van down by the river.
How was he processing all of this?
He was a rock. He was wonderful through the whole process. I received breakfast in bed during my entire 6 months of chemo. It was actually 7 months because
Well, I go back to those days as you were considering marrying this man. And I'm going to say now that it was prophetic, because I remember saying to you, marry this man.
yes.
You did good.
I did. He's a wonderful source of strength for me and for our children and for our family. And he proved it.
Yeah.
I mean, that was for better, for worse, and in sickness and in health, right? He lived it out. I mean, you say those words, but until you actually can live those out and show somebody, and he did. He really did.
So you're at Moffitt. This is going down. This is real.
Yes.
And where are you in your mind, in your heart?
I'm much better at that point, but my husband had just turned 50, and we had a big trip planned. We were going to the Canadian Rockies. We were going hella hiking, which it was actually not really hiking. It was more mountaineering, where they take you in a helicopter and they drop you off where cars can't get to, and you are climbing up the mountain. And we had canceled it when I was in the hospital. My husband canceled the flights. We could not get refunded on the trip itself. And when we went to the oncologist's office, he said, I need you to heal for 6 weeks. And my husband saw a calendar on the wall and he was like, 6 weeks? Huh, that is exactly when we want to go on this trip. Can we go? And my oncologist, who was, about this tall and, a little round, he said, I don't do the gym or tofu. Don't tell me about it, and go and just do it and come back when you're ready.
I think those pictures, and we have pictures of that, those pictures spoke so much to me, because I see you in those pictures living, not dying. How important it is to get to that place where you are living, not dying.
Yeah, it was huge. It showed me that I could conquer much. We climbed to the top of this mountain. It was called Mount Nimbus. And I got to the top of the mountain and threw my arms up in the air. And I thought, if I can conquer this, I can battle cancer. And funny enough, one of the people that was on this trip with us was actually an oncologist herself, breast cancer oncologist. And I thought, God has put this woman here. I'm only 6 weeks out of surgery. I mean, I could fall down and, she was there for a reason. She was there for encouragement. She was there in case I needed anything medically.
Yes. Do you suppose that trip, in a great way, the fact that you did it and you climbed that mountain, was there any kind of surrealism that you were using and going, if I can climb this mountain, then I certainly can climb the mountain I'm facing?
Yes, absolutely. It gave me more strength than I could have imagined. Because I really did. Before, when we were planning it and before the diagnosis, I thought, there probably is going to be a day or two where I'm just going to sit back at the lodge and maybe get a massage and read a book. And when I got there, I was like, no, I might not have this opportunity again. I need to do this now. And that's how we've lived our lives. My husband said, give me a bucket list. I've done a lot of trips for him. We've done a lot of wonderful trips. We've rafted and we've done all kinds of camping outdoors. And you give me a list. I said, great, I'll give you a list. I want to go to the Macy's Day Parade. I want to go see the Northern Lights. I'd like to go on an Alaskan cruise. And I'm a huge tennis fan.
Yes, of course.
Either Rafa Nadal or Roger Federer. We checked all those boxes in 3 years because I was like, we are going to do this now.
You are going to live and not die. So it's been several years out of that. You went through the various treatments and you get to a day when you hear you're cancer-free. Talk to us about that.
Well, we haven't made it quite to 5 years yet. And they do say you're cancer-free after you've completed your chemotherapy. You're very cautious.
Yes.
I went to counseling. I liked the practical side. I liked give me what I need to do. But once that was over, that's when your mind races. And that's when you think to yourself, all kinds of, every ache and pain. Oh, is it back? So I did. I went and spoke to somebody and it helped. It was so helpful just to speak to somebody, get some perspective. The further out we get from that initial diagnosis, the better. I'll be at 5 years in June. Yes. And that's when they technically say you're cured. But that's always going to be in the back of your mind. But so is anything, right?
Anything. You go to bed, I mean, whatever it is, you go to bed and the mind start racing. How do you stop the racing?
Well, like I said, the time has helped. The time has helped a lot. And just understanding that I'm not in control.
Wow.
You know, God is in control.
You talk about your faith and how important, you talked about friends, how they really helped, you know, a loving family, friends that came and rallied around. But you talk about your faith and how even in the midst of this, your faith got even stronger.
It did get even stronger. And somebody asked me one time, how did you know he was there? And I said, I knew he was there through the people he put in my life. So anything we needed, there were friends or family there. I mean, we had a meal train, but even above the days that were on that meal train, we had people delivering food. We had people asking to run errands and take care of the children. And, you know, I joke with people, I'm like, I thought people liked me, but when you go through something like that, you really realize how loved you are. But, you know, the even more profound thing for me is the giving back part, is the understanding how to be a better friend, how to be a better family member, how to be a better wife and mother, trying not to sweat the small stuff. My husband's so good at not sweating the small stuff, trying to take his lead more and not sweat the small stuff. Because in the end, it doesn't really matter, right?
It doesn't matter. We have one day and we live that to the... You've continued to give, you've continued to serve. We're looking at June as the big day. Any more bucket lists?
Well, I haven't started my second bucket list yet. I don't know. I do want to still see Rafa before he retires. I mean, he's getting a little older now, but we'll see. Well, I do still want to see him. I'd like to go over maybe to the French Open or Wimbledon.
French Open's going on?
It's going on right now. I'm watching it. You better believe it.
Well, you know, with your spirit, your don't quit attitude, what an inspiration. And I know, I have strong belief that we're going to be seeing not only 5 more, but 5 more. Keep at it. And thank you so much for sharing your story. And thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be back talking some more next time. We hope you join us then. For LkldNow in View, I'm Andrea Oliver.